let's get to the music. Our first piece you're going to hear this afternoon is a fanfare by Michael Story called Jubilant Fanfare. The next piece we're going to perform for you this afternoon is a piece called Legend of the Eagles, band piece composed by David Schaefer. David Schaefer was musically trained in Ohio, which is where I went to college, and is currently the principal arranger for the Ohio University Marching Band. In addition to his involvement with the Ohio University Marching Band, he has over 250 compositions and arrangements in print. So here is Legend of the Eagles. eclectic mix of music to go from a piece like that to Sweet Georgia Brown. But that's what makes this concert fun. So we're going to lighten things up a little bit with a nice arrangement of Sweet Georgia Brown. Did a little research on this piece. Of course, you all recognize it, Harlem Globetrotters theme. It's a jazz standard. I didn't realize, though, it dated back all the way back to 1925 is when that song was written by a guy named Ben Burney. Wrote the song, and he was inspired from a story he heard after meeting a guy named Dr. George Thaddeus Brown in New York City. Dr. Brown was a longtime member of the Georgia State House of Representatives. And he told Burney about his daughter, Georgia Brown, and how subsequent to the baby's birth in 1911, the Georgia General Assembly had issued a declaration that she would be named Georgia after the state. This anecdote would be directly referred to in the song. In the lyrics, it says, Georgia claimed her, Georgia named her. Probably the most famous recording of this song was done in 1949 by the Brother Bones in the Shadows, and that's the recording that you usually hear when it was adopted as the Harlem Globetrotters theme way back in 1952. So a lot of neat history with this piece. So here's our arrangement of Sweet Georgia Brown. All right, our next piece is a concert march. We actually played this one before when we combined with the Sudbury New Horizons Band. This was one of the pieces we did as a collaboration. It's by John Abbington, called General Green March. For those who don't know, General Nathaniel Greene was a major general in the Continental Army during our Revolutionary War. He emerged from the war with a reputation as General George Washington's most talented and dependable officer, and is known for his successful command in the Southern theater of the war. He was also respected by his opponents. I found this quote Cornwallis wrote about Greene. He said, that Greene was as dangerous as Washington. He is diligent, enterprising, and full of resources. There is but little hope of gaining an advantage over him. So here is a march, kind of in his honor, the General Green March. Our next piece this afternoon is a piece called Pendleton polka. I'm sure most of you recognize this. This was written by a guy named Zeke Manners back in 1942. And boy, it's been recorded by a lot of artists over the years. Some of the more famous ones would be Lawrence Welk, the Andrews Sisters, and of course Frankie Yankovic. My generation probably knows it best from the 1993 film Groundhog Day. And so anyway, here's Pennsylvania polka. Okay, we're going to slow things down a little bit here with our next piece, with a poignant and inspiring ballad by James Swearingen called Song of Hope. As the title suggests, in these troubled times in our world, there is a serious need for music to speak from the heart, and I think this does with its eloquence and its style. So here is Song of Hope. Before we play our next tune, I do want to acknowledge some of my students that are in the ensemble. I mean, if we had time, I'd love to say everything about every single person in the group. They all bring their talents and their life experiences, and there's one thing I love about the New Horizons band here is we have some members of this band who just decided to play this instrument maybe a few years ago. We never did it before. There's other folks in here who maybe play their instrument back in their glory days of high school or college, and there's other folks in here who play their instrument all the time, and they want to be part of everything. And that's what really makes this ensemble unique. But anyway, I want to acknowledge some of the students. Two of my students in here, unfortunately because of COVID and our schedule here, couldn't get band in their schedule this year, which is crazy because one of them was the only kid to make All-State band, and the other one was my drum major. But you know, it is what it is. It was a tough schedule this year, but these kids are so dedicated and they wanted to be in music that they come here on a Monday afternoon and play with this band, and I think it needs to be acknowledged. So Emily Texera and Kieran O'Reilly. Just stand up for them. Appreciate your dedication. And my other two students that are in the band, now these guys are the complete opposite. Even with this crazy schedule, they're both in my jazz combo, period B, and both in my concert band, period D. And apparently in marching band, and winter percussion. Apparently that's not enough. They also want to be in the New Horizons band. So hey, that's pretty awesome. So Dylan O'Keefe and Caleb Scribner back here on the front row. Alright, so our next piece here, we're going to do another band overture. This is a classic one called Abbington Ridge. It's composed by a guy named Ed Huckby. He's an arts consultant, freelance composer, arranger, conductor, and clinician. He's got over 200 published works. His music is just a staple in the band library. So here's Abbington Ridge. so when the weather is cold as it is today, playing our next arrangement of music from the Polar Express seems rather fitting. The music of this animated movie was written by Alan Silvestri, and he's a very well-established film composer, known for composing films such as Back to the Future, Forrest Gump, Romancing the Stone, and has done many of the Marvel movies, including all of the Avengers movies. Polar Express was originally a book published in 1985, and the movie was released in 2004. And today, I think it's pretty much considered a current a modern Christmas classic. So here is music to Polar Express. Before I play our final piece, thank you all for coming out this afternoon. It's so wonderful to play for an audience again. Since we've been able to have live performances, my concert band was able to perform last January, and we're actually having a concert next week, Wednesday, right next door in the upper gym. And if you love to hear live music, this is going to be extra special because it's the first time in more than 30 years my concert band and the string orchestra is combining, and we're doing a full symphony combined. And we're going to be doing Chuck Mangione's Children of Sanchez. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got soloists. The band will play some pieces separately. The orchestra will play some pieces. That's going to happen right next door in the lower gym. April 6th, Wednesday, and this Wednesday. In 2 days of the concert. That's right. So 7 o'clock next door in the upper gym. And then on April 6th, we have a concert at the Cultural Center. Our chorus and my jazz combo will be performing. These are all free concerts. So this Wednesday at 7 right here, and next Wednesday at 7 at the Cultural Center. So thank you all for coming out again. With the final piece we're going to play for you is a medley from The Sound of Music. I figured I'd end with this song that you all know, and we'll get these songs stuck in your head for the rest of the day. Probably one of the most famous of Rodgers and Hammerstein's musicals. It's based on the true story of the Von Trapp family singers. It opened on Broadway back in 1959, and it actually won 5 Tony Awards. The movie version, which came out in 1965, won 5 Academy Awards. Since that, it's had some major revivals in 81, 98, 2006. There was even a live TV version done in 2013. So here is our music to Sound of Music, and thank you again for coming this afternoon. Thank you very, very much.